Hello, Professor Vaccaro. The piece in focus today is Fra Angelico's The Apostle St. James the Greater freeing the magician Hermogenes from the 1400s. When deciding how to recreate this piece in my own way, being a VC major, I naturally went with a modern digital illustration style. This is the process of the recreation. I sped it up, that way it wouldn't take up too much time since it did take me hours to actually do this whole thing. Something I mentioned in the museum assignment part 1, which I feel should be repeated again here, is that this piece was actually part of a predella, having stories of other saints as well, like St. Francis, St. Dominic, and St. John, even the Virgin Mary. Knowing something that I feel gives this piece more meaning, when you do go and view it in person, hanging there on the wall alone, it feels odd and very plain. Knowing that it's part of something bigger gives it so much purpose. The tragedies at the altarpiece is unknown, and the fifth panel of the predella is missing. So we will never actually know what this piece would look like arranged within the predella under the altarpiece. While recreating this piece, something else I read about Fra Angelico is that he painted religious imagery for his own enjoyment, not for money or fame or recognition, but as his own way of honoring God. But things that I learned about this piece, specifically researching the story in the Golden Legend, was that Hermogenes had sent his assistant, which is the man in blue in the center, to confront James in front of the Jews that his preaching was false. James persuaded his assistant by performing many miracles. The assistant returned to Hermogenes saying he agreed with James. Hermogenes was aggravated by this and put a spell on his assistant to not be able to move. The assistant sent a message to James through a servant, and James sent back what would set him free from the spell, which was a handkerchief. Hermogenes was even more angered by this and summoned demons and cast them towards James. James, being protected by the Holy Spirit, burned the demons as they came near. The demons asked for mercy and stated their visit, where James replied, "Let the angel of God release you, and go back to him and bring him to me, bound but unharmed." The demons returned and asked James to give them power to harm Hermogenes as they were harmed. James did not allow this. Instead, James said to the assistant, "Let us return good for evil, as Christ taught us to do. Hermogenes put you in bonds, now you unbind him." Hermogenes was released from the bonds, James allowing him to wander wherever he pleased, but Hermogenes was scared of what the demons might do, so James gifted him with his staff to protect him. It is said that Hermogenes went forth and did good after that. Fra Angelico was known as a religious painter, painting mainly his known creations of the San Marcos frescoes, having a paint style that promoted light and airy with perspectives, which is quite noted in this piece with the mountains in the back, with the orange roof house, then the green building coming into the foreground behind the characters. In the article Reflections and Mirrors, a quote stood out to me the most: "The past is useful in the present." Similar to a mirror, how you look into it, and then you can see what's behind you. Sometimes the past influences the present, and with this recreation, I brought the past into the now.